Artillery is the god of war, so said Joseph Stalin in 1944. With World War II at its zenith, the Soviet army was famously making an ample use of their artillery arm, a hard lesson they had been taught during World War I against the same opposition. What had earned it this reputation amongst the Soviets and other armies, and how has it maintained this status? Most importantly, is it deserved? Welcome to The Ardent Gunner. It goes without saying that armies function properly when each arm or branch delivers its part of the plan well in concert with the others. Without infantry, one cannot truly take and hold ground. Without armour, one lacks options to shock the enemy and exploit in force. Without engineers, one cannot move, and the enemy will move freely. One could go on and on. Any professional soldier should always aim to understand their role and how to do it best, and then understand everyone else's and how you can best tailor your job to fit into the highly complicated jigsaw that you see on the modern battlefield. With that being said, there is no other arm that can so freely affect the battlefield with savage violence as artillery can. It is these characteristics that we will be looking at today, and which would, by anyone's standard, make it rightfully the god of war. Any campaign or battle throughout the ages has normally been won by the army which could successfully concentrate sufficient force at the critical point on the battlefield to win. There are a mass of examples of these, from the section level all the way through to the grand strategic. Most clearly was in Napoleon's campaigns, where his revolutionary use of split corps to manoeuvre and his ability to concentrate those corps when required allowed him to win battle after battle across the European continent, often catching portions of the Austrians, Prussians and Russian armies and routing them before turning on the rest. One can even see this principle demonstrated, albeit in a slightly different setting, in Julius Caesar's victory at the Siege of Alesia, where he prevented the Gaulish armies from successfully concentrating to defeat his legions, with the clever use of an internal siege line to keep the besieged Gauls in, and external fortifications to hold off the reinforcing Gaulish armies sent to relieve them. But how can this be considered from the perspective of the artillery? If you were to ask someone why artillery is so powerful, you can quickly point to a series of characteristics that make it advantageous over other arms depending on the situation. Some of these would likely include its great range, allowing you to strike deeper into enemy territory and being able to strike enemy units that cannot strike you. The ability to fire over geographical features at enemy positions behind hills, mountains or buildings. The larger payload of most artillery systems when compared to the weapons normally used by the infantry and cavalry. The ability to be readily available 24 hours a day in any weather, something that gives it an advantage at times over aviation and aircraft. And the ability of some types of artillery systems to deliver a persistent suppression effect on an area without the ability of the enemy to strike it and alleviate that problem easily. These are all true at times and certainly contribute to its usefulness on the battlefield. However, there is a more fundamental aspect that is really what Stalin was referring to when he described it as the god of war. Here we have a battlefield. It is approximately 50 kilometres from west to east and 30 kilometres from north to south. A gun battery is situated to the south of Airedale here. Meanwhile, an observer is located on Hill 321 here. This observer has spotted 2 enemy sections, one in the vicinity of Hill 350 and one in the hamlet north of Krasmir. The observer wants to neutralise these enemy positions. This may be to support an infantry or tank attack, or it might be to attrit the enemy and prevent them from advancing. The battery responds to the call for fire from the observer in minutes, and soon is laying down heavy fire on one of the positions. The observer prepares the detail for the second mission, and the battery is able to switch fire quickly. This is a key first example. The battery is able to respond in a matter of minutes and can switch to a new target incredibly quickly. To bring a similar weight of fire to bear, a troop of tanks would have to disengage from one position and then move tactically across the battlefield to engage the other, whilst at the mercy of enemy intervention and other obstacles. This takes significantly more time. So artillery here is showing that in the correct hands it has a great flexibility in being able to switch to different targets across the battlefield more quickly than any other arm and deliver a heavy weight of fire. If speed of engagement and flexibility to quickly engage multiple targets is one aspect, the other is in how much artillery you can feasibly bring onto one target quickly. Again, we have our observer on Hill 350. This time, there are 5 batteries operating in this area. Here, we can see the range rings for each battery. A standard range for modern 155mm artillery pieces sits between 20 and 30 kilometers, and this has been roughly modelled here. Everywhere these range rings overlap indicates where multiple batteries can engage targets in that area. Enemy infantry has reappeared at the 2 previous positions, and the observer plans to engage again. The target to the north of Krasmir can only be engaged by 1 battery. The second target, however, can be engaged by 4 batteries. A battery comprised of between 4 and 8 155mm guns is formidable, able to completely suppress an area of 200 to 300 metres squared. The weight of fire provided by 4 times that number is devastating. No other arm can concentrate this level of firepower in one place at one time as quickly, whilst remaining spread out enough on the battlefield to survive. Technically, one could add any number of batteries or regiments, and the only limit is their location and range. During World War II, both the British and American artillery arms were capable of bringing hundreds of guns down on single targets without prior planning in minutes. This would have a devastating effect on their enemies. With these 2 examples, we have shown the speed of engagement across geographically dispersed targets is faster than any other arm, and that its ability to concentrate significant firepower on specific targets is unmatched. Armies use different methods to command their artillery, but all are aiming to make it as quick and easy as possible to engage the enemy quickly and with as much firepower as can be spared. Most can do this in a matter of minutes, allowing the almost immediate unleashing of tremendous firepower on the enemy. The footage at the beginning of this video showed MLRS firing during the First Gulf War. The coalition forces contained significant artillery, and this was put to good use. On the 26th of February 1991, the 4th Brigade of the British Army's 1st Armoured Division would attack Objective Brass. It is a superb demonstration of the principles we have discussed. Major Andrew Gillespie, the battery commander of O Battery, the rocket troop, was attached to the 14th 20th King's Hussars for the war and explained 4 Brigade's plan of attack. The brigade's 3 battle groups attacked sequentially, allowing for the artillery to focus on one enemy position before turning to the next. The artillery support was provided by 3 gun regiments, 2, 2-6 and 40 regiments Royal Artillery, as well as portions of the American 142nd Field Artillery Brigade. Their fire would prove devastating. The 1st Battalion, the Royal Scots, would attack first, followed by the 14th 20th Hussars, with the 3rd Battalion, the Royal Regiment of Fusiliers, attacking last. The entire artillery, amounting to 4 regiments, could support each battle group in turn, and once one attack had finished, it could switch immediately to the next target. In this way, a massive amount of fire could be brought to bear, culminating in highly successful attacks across Objective Brass that morning. In summary, we have discussed the many aspects of artillery that make it so powerful, as well as the two critical characteristics, its flexibility and its range, which allow it to strike quickly and with massive impact. When used correctly, it enables the manoeuvre of the rest of the supported forces, whilst devastating the enemy's morale and physical ability to fight. Recent conflicts have only reinforced its stature. All elements of an army are important, but artillery remains the god of war. If you have enjoyed this video, then please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and maybe leave a comment about what you would like to see next. Otherwise, thank you for your time. This has been The Ardent Gunner.